Hey, uh, I'm Jason. I worked on the player controls, the movement system, and the overall game structure for the platform climber we created. I focused on how the player moved, jumped, and interacted with the platforms.
Hello, I'm Maccoy. I did the logic for generating the platforms. Um, I was making sure that they spawned at varying intervals and not on top of each other. Um, I worked on the scrolling effect. I drew the character sprites and I made the sound effects and background music.
Hello, I'm CJ. I worked on the game's write up and overall review of the game. I detailed how the game was created and what elements were used, and I also ensured that our documentation was clear and thorough and accurately reflected through the team's work.
Right. Uh, and with the introductions out of the way, why don't we show the game? I'm gonna die. It is genuinely a little hard. I'm gonna try and show that the high score will update and keep track. Nice streak. Nope. But as you see,
Oh,
then I hit exit. All right. That's just a little demo of the game. Uh, the idea for a platform climber came from, oh God, I just got a notification our Zoom meeting's gonna end in 10 minutes. Um, the idea for platform climber came from the classic endless runner and side-scrolling platformer games like Doodle Jump and Geometry Dash. We wanted to build something simple but fun where the player keeps moving to avoid falling and tries to survive as long as possible. The whole game was written by our team from scratch. Uh, Game starts with the player on a static floor, and the goal is to keep moving to the right by jumping across randomly generated platforms, as you saw. Uh, if you stop or fall off the screen, the game ends, and the game does keep the highest score, but that's it. It doesn't keep track of any other scores or previous attempts. Uh, it's currently just like an endurance-based survival thing. It uses the A and D keys. Um, the character just automatically jumps. You're just controlling its movement left and right, basically. Uh, there's no win condition. It is just like get whatever the highest score is, and you lose whenever you fall off a platform. Um, but one major difficulty we encountered was the platform spawning logic. Eh, The uh, platforms would sometimes appear too close together or overlap. Uh, and we fix this by using like collision checks before finalizing the new platform placement.
And another challenge was creating the parallax background so that some background objects scroll faster than others. Um, it was getting the speed right, making it seamless was really took a lot of trial and error. But once we got it working, I think it enhanced it.
uh, another error we had, another key one, we had trouble with the audio looping and keep getting the volume control to stay balanced out. The background music would restart like too aggressively, and it would kind of throw off how it sounded. So we had to learn how to properly balance the volume of the background and the other sound effects in the game.
Uh, if we had more time, I'd add a scoring system that tracks how many platforms the player has jumped on and maybe gives more points the smaller the platform is or something like that. Uh, Also, maybe just different levels, a difficulty system, and like obstacles to avoid.
I think another thing, a character selection screen would be cool, or an upgrade system would also make the game more engaging. Plus, a pause menu with different settings can make the game more usable. And
Well, the unresolved issues we still had in the game were of course, the lacking the main menu when you start the game. You just get right into it. Then we didn't have level variety, so as you continue with the game, you don't go up a level. It's just continuous essentially. And then the game only has a simple exit, being that you can only essentially die. And these weren't resolved due to the time constraints we had because we were focusing on the core mechanics of the game. So for what we learned dealing with this project taught us a lot about real time programming, especially game loops and dealing with player input. We also learned how to work with sound, animation, and modular coding. Before this course, at least me, I can't speak for other two, at least. I had never worked on a project this size, but we had learned how to break down the larger problems we had into smaller tasks, and we were able to collaborate them with others. It was really great practice for development. Working on the climber, this semester was an incredibly valuable learning experience, both technically and collaboratively. Our goal was to develop a 2D side-scrolling platform game using Pygame with features such as parallax backgrounds, dynamic platform spawning, basic collision detection, sound integration, and intuitive player movement system. Looking back, several aspects of the project went well, while others revealed opportunities for growth and improvement. Um, One of the biggest successes was our ability to bring multiple moving parts together in a cohesive and playable game. We implemented parallax scrolling with three background layers, which gave the game visual depth and polish. Our procedural platform generation with random gaps and height variation made the gameplay dynamic and replayable. Additionally, we were able to incorporate both background music and sound effects without any performance issues, creating an immersive atmosphere. These elements were the result of effective planning, dividing tasks early, and making sure each group member contributed according to their strengths, whether it was logic, art assets, sound design, or debugging. Another win was how modular our code became. Separating the project into different files like player.py, platform.py, and config.py helped us manage the complexity and made the project easier to debug. It also taught us how to think in terms of reusable components and how to collaborate using version control tools and code merging techniques. However, the project wasn't without its challenges, of course. One area we could have improved on was early game logic testing. For example, the player collision with platforms had some edge cases where the player would phase through or get stuck. These bugs were often caught late and some weren't fully resolved before the final submission. A more structured testing phase earlier in development would have allowed us to polish the game more thoroughly. Similarly, platform overlap checking worked most of the time, but didn't account for some less frequent scenarios where multiple platforms spawn too close that have helped us track better and resolve these issues faster. Another thing we could have improved on was task delegation and communication consistency. While everyone contributed, sometimes it seemed unclear who was working with what, and especially when putting last minute changes. Sorry. Setting the weekend goals or using a lightweight project management tool would have helped streamline our communication and keep us in sync. In terms of course improvement, I think future versions of it would benefit from earlier check-ins and a focused project structure with a modular design. We learned the value of splitting code across modules on our own, but earlier guidance or required milestone could help others avoid monolithic code and encourage a good design from the start. Another suggestion would be including more debugging and testing strategies in the class. For example, teaching students how to create test cases or use log overlays for visual debugging in games. Overall, this project solidified our understanding of game loops, object-oriented programming, and real-time input handling. It gave our team hands-on experience that will carry into our future software development work. It also reminded the group of the importance of planning, collaboration, and testing skills that go beyond just writing code. I'm proud of what we accomplished as a team, and I'm grateful for the lessons we learned throughout the journey. That'll wrap us up.